Hi BookTube, long time no see. So welcome back to my channel. I plan to be more consistent with videos, try to find time to make some and then edit them and then kind of maybe get like a schedule going for that. But we'll see how that works. I don't know how it's going to work with work and whatnot, but I'm going to try to be more active with the video part of, you know, the blog and everything, and BookTube and book blogging, etc. Another thing I was thinking of doing is bringing AuthorTube to this channel. So I write in my free time, and I was thinking of talking about my writing process and my writing updates, and maybe doing writing vlogs as well for this channel. I am currently participating in Camp NaNoWriMo. I'm gonna probably keep it to this channel as well because, you know, writing or reading books, they kind of go together. So I thought I'd make a little video wrapping up what I read in June. So in June, I read a total of 5 to 6 books. Some of them were from May and I finished them up in June, so it's like 4 to 6, I guess, we'll say, whatever, around there. But I finished them in June, so they count for June. So the first book is Descendant of the Crane, which I plan to read for the May Asian readathon. I do have the physical copy somewhere. I think I'm unhauling it because I didn't hate it, but I didn't like love it because the ending, it kind of sets up for a second book, but apparently there is no second book. And I'm like, so we leave it like that. Partly resolved, partly not. I do really appreciate though the world building and the kind of Asian mythology based, ancient China based kind of setting. So that was very interesting, not something you see typically. The next book I read for June is The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn, which, oh my god, this is the second book in the Bridgerton series, which is being made into a Netflix series, and that's why I started reading this series. So I fell in love with the first book, fell in love with this book, and I can't wait to get the third book. I went to the bookstore like yesterday. I found the third book, but it wasn't in the edition that I wanted. I want the edition with the second epilogue, and I want all my copies to match. Alright, I know maybe I'm being particular, but I want them to match. This one follows the oldest son of the Bridgerton household, Anthony, and he falls in love with Kate Sheffield, who at her age and just come out in society is kind of close to being a spinster, right? But it's Kate's sister that everyone's talking about because she's younger and she's very pretty and everyone wants to court her, and Anthony isn't looking for love. He doesn't want that trouble. He just wants someone who'll make a good wife. So he's initially trying to go after Kate's sister, but of course he falls in love with Kate. So I thought I enjoyed this. Like, it was so fun, so funny to read. I absolutely love the characters, and Julia Quinn is like gonna become my favorite. I'm gonna just buy everything she's already written and just like, really, Julia Quinn's already becoming a favorite. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. So the next book I read was actually an audiobook. I got it from Scrib. So I did a free trial of Scrib, and I'm going to keep on with that for at least a few months, see how I like it. So far I'm loving it. So I listened to the Unnie Mooners, but I think it's Kristen Lauren, if I remember correctly. And I've seen the author's name pop up a lot on BookTube and just in general on blogs and whatnot. And I've never read her work. So I decided, you know what? It's Scribd. I'm going to give it a try. And it fit one of my prompts for the Smartathon, which I wasn't able to complete, but I did read like 2 books during that week. So I listened to the Unnie Mooners on audiobook, and oh my god, I literally I was dying laughing throughout the whole book. And then the end, when he went to get her and had that grand moment, I was like, oh my god, this is like so cringy, but like in a good way. I'm surprised how much I loved it because it was just like, I was like, oh my god, throughout listening through the whole thing, and like I said, I felt like cringy at points, which is a good thing, you know, in this case for contemporary romance. Short to say, I did really actually enjoy listening to the audiobook. If you're new to the author, I would definitely check it out, you know, give this one a listen to, or pick up a copy and read it. I may pick up some for other books, I may not, because again, I've heard mixed things, and also contemporary romance isn't usually the genre I read. But I did really love the Unnie Mooners, and I was surprised I loved it so much, and I felt emotions throughout that. And then at the end, when she goes to her sister and her sister realizes that what was going on, I don't want to spoil it, but again, I want to when her sister that scene at the end, oh, near the end, where her sister got her revenge. Thank you. Loved it. Like, you are busted. I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. And like the two main characters, they were like so funny together, and like I basically loved it. I laughed, I cried, oh my god, I cringed in a good way. It was awesome. Very good book. I highly recommend it. And on to a book that I strongly disliked for June was Releasing Rage. So this is a sci-fi romance. It's more like a sci-fi erotica, if we're being honest. So I picked it up also for the Smudge-a-thon. And it was also a freebie. It's the first one in a series, some cyborg kind of romance series. But I did not like this. Like, from the very beginning. Alright. So our main character, she is a human. And she's in love with cyborgs. And when she was a girl, a cyborg saved her life. So she decided to go study cyborg engineering so she can work with cyborgs. Now she gets assigned to the ship, and she gets assigned to the C model cyborg that's like just killed as former engineer. He just killed his last engineer. So he's like not one you want to mess with. So she gets assigned to him, right? But, you know, she loves cyborgs, so whatever. But like she enters the ship, and like all the human men are like making sexist jokes at her, and she's apparently the only female, the only woman on the ship. Like, we're going for some weird feminist angle that doesn't make sense in a sci-fi future setting. Like, why would she be the only female, the only woman? It makes no sense to me, and I think it just was done that way to set it up for the whole all the human men on the ships are evil, so when they all get killed. And this isn't really much of a spoiler, I don't think, because the summary says the cyborg plans to kill the humans. So when they all die, it's like, well, they were assholes anyway, so whatever. But it just doesn't really make sense for like a sci-fi setting. I mean, I don't know. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way from the beginning. And then the other thing is, the beginning she was billed as like, oh, she's the first woman cyborg engineer. She's like taking on all these men and their sexism. And then immediately she sees a cyborg and she like is down on her knees. Immediately she becomes submissive. The exact opposite of how we started in like the span of the first 20 pages. I'm like, the heck is this? And it was such a shift from the very beginning, all within like the first 20 pages. I'm like, what the heck happened? I'm gonna spoil it, sir. So, spoiler. Near the end of the book, the human men, like, they decide to take advantage of her, to force themselves on her while the cyborgs are away on a planet fighting. And, so they basically force themselves on her, and she's almost dead. So the cyborg comes back, sees her body in his chambers, just laying there, like, unconscious. His cyborg semen has cyborg biotics or something in it, but basically his dick can heal her. So what does he do? I mean, I think you can kind of guess. If his dick can heal her, he's got to have a lot of sex with her. What the heck was that? Like, that, like, I just don't understand. The whole thing was basically smut too. There's a lot of smut, which I don't have a problem with. Like, you know, I kind of knew going into it there's gonna be like some heavy smut, but there's like a lot. It's basically like a lot of smut scenes, like basically smut, which is fine. You know, that's cool, and you know, I can enjoy some well-written smut, which for the most part it was, except for that one scene. But her characterization changed so quickly. I was just so off put by like those two things that I just really, there's no redeeming this book for me. I could maybe like ignore the beginning part because it was such a quick shift to her being submissive, and I knew this was like a sexy cyborg being in charge thing, if it wasn't for that other scene near the end. Like, why would you do that? I don't like it. Like, and want a spaceship and there's no other way to heal her. Like, okay, whatever. Moving on. Another book I read was one I borrowed from a friend called Blood Fever. It's the second book in a series. I forgot the name of the series, but it's a paranormal kind of romance, I guess. I'm still enjoying this series, but it's like a long series, so like, am I gonna finish this? Wish me luck, because there's a lot of books. I don't know what I got myself into. But basically, this girl, her sister gets murdered, and she goes to Ireland. She's from the US, from the South. She goes to Ireland to find out what happened with her sister and who killed her. Discovers there's these weird creatures, the Fae, amongst other kind of creatures. She teams up with this dude who owns a bookshop, who's like mysterious, who can also see the Fae, but he's not like her. And she's like the type of person that can see the Fae without their glamour or through their glamour. I'm trying to recap the gist of it without spoiling things or getting too detailed. So basically, her and Jericho, from the guy who owns the bookshop, who's not exactly human, we don't know what he is yet. So they're still going around looking for these magical items, these Fae items, because he's collecting them for some reason that he won't tell her, and she wants to find out who killed her sister. But I'm still enjoying the series, so I'm going to continue with it. I'm borrowing the book from a friend, like I said. We'll see how it goes. So the last book I finished in June was my Spanish read for the month, which is a historical romance called El Vuelo de las Mariposas. In English, it's Butterfly Sword. It's an ancient China Tang Dynasty romance. She is a princess, and she's supposed to marry a guy that killed her brother, or allegedly killed her brother, and she runs away from the marriage. I hope that wasn't a spoiler. She teams up with this mysterious guy who like knows a lot about fighting, and he's gonna protect her, and they of course fall in love, and then they have to overcome her marriage for an alliance. Like, she has to break off that marriage to be with him. I don't know, I mean, I liked it. I think I understood enough of it that I enjoyed it, and I understood pretty much the gist of the story. So I found with Spanish too, like, it kind of depends too on my mood. Like, if I force myself to read, I might not be like enjoying it enough to like comprehend everything, because I'm kind of just looking at the words. But I do that in English too sometimes, so I think that's kind of me. So far, trying to read a book a month in Spanish I think is helping a lot, because I think I'm starting to understand things more. Case in point, the book I'm reading this month, which I think is Lady Brianna, I think that's what it's called. I started reading that, I'm like, I understand this, thank you. And if only I could speak it. Let's practice speaking now. That would be good, right? And I guess just to add a few more things. There were two books I almost finished in June, but I finished them the beginning of July, so I'll talk about them in my July wrap-up. Those books would be Their Wyoming Courtship Agreement. This is one of the last love-inspired historical romances from this line, the love-inspired line. But yeah, I'll talk about this more in July, in July's wrap-up. And the other book I started in June that I finished in July was Heart's Desire, and this was actually a NetGalley read that I got, I think, either like right before or right after the publication date. It took me a while to finish reading it for review, and I'm kind of like, it's published now, you can go buy it now. I enjoyed it, it's just like it took a while for me to finish. So I hoped to have finished it in June, but it took until July. That's how my June went, and if you notice, they were pretty much almost all somehow romance related. That's because I'm participating in the Summer Romance Bingo Challenge. So I have my little bingo board with my prompts, and I'm trying to read books that fill those prompts. So I'll leave a link in the description with more information on that challenge, and maybe I'll make another video. Like, I kind of have a TBR planned, but it's not like super strict. I might change some books out, but I'll leave a link in the description. I don't want to keep talking on because I think that's good enough for the wrap up. So that was my June reading wrap up. Thank you for watching.